Hey, welcome back. Glad you're here today. We're back on the Stitches Challenger. We're going to be working on trying to hopefully get these floor pans finished up. Sometimes I feel like this is the endless floor pan fabrication and installation channel. I'm glad you're here to give a hand today. As always, today is just about spending the day in the shop with me working on whatever it is I happen to be working on.
This is My Car's Shop.
In our last several episodes, we've been fabricating toe boards, foot boards. We did this under seat pan. We did this under seat pan. And in our very last episode, we had done a cut and butt to install this recycled floor pan out of either a CUDA or a 71 and up B body, which is just a bit shorter. But we made it work, and it's fine. So our next mission,
should we choose to accept it,
is to figure out how we're going to put this piece in. And I think I've got it figured out. I spent some time before we started filming working on it in my head. And I think what we're going to do is, well, we're going to take it over to the bench, and rather than me talking about it, let's just do it.
do it now?
Would y'all do me a favor and remind me the next time we come out here to turn the air compressor on first? I keep forgetting, and then I have to sit here and wait for things to pump up. So a couple things I need to accomplish on this is, first of all, we're not going to be putting it all the way back. We're going to be putting it so this lines up with the seam. That way you won't be able to tell it's not the right floor pan piece. So I need to cut it in the corner here and hammer this down so I have some more metal to fill in where some is missing. And I also need to remove this piece of the under seat floor pan that is on here right now so that we can get things lined up properly where they belong in the car. Did a beautiful job of flattening that out, and then realized that wasn't the one that needed to be flattened. So I bent it back in. This is the one that needs to be flattened. I swear I am not doing well today mentally. There we go. Took about 15 minutes to get that trimmed down to fit in there, so that's pretty good. Not a complaint there. So I'll probably just do my spray paint technique to get me a ballpark on where I want to trim that, and then I'll go in and nip that out about an inch all the way around. And I'm doing overlap where we did cut and butt on this one. I'm doing overlap on this because I want to compare the 5 to 6 hours that I spent yesterday to how to put this one in, basically, which is the same, the same amount of work, but just not in a cut and butt. Just because I'm curious more than anything. Part of the reason this took a while was because I wanted to try to line up the lines through the bar, just because, I don't know, I just... one of those little OCD things that we all have, I guess. It's a little twisted, but so am I. We'll straighten that out as we put it in, but it's not bad. It looks worse in the camera than it actually does. Part of it is this is still high here, and that needs to drop down on this side. Our outline is completed now, so I'll get the cutoff wheel and we'll trim that back about an inch. You can see all of our rusty metal is going to be cut out of there, so we should be in good shape. Got it all ground up on both sides, ready to drill my plug weld holes, and we'll take you over to the car. Got that all ground up, so I'm going to throw some rust conditioner on that, and we should be pretty good to go. I do want to run the wire wheel over a little of that. I got some pockets I couldn't quite get into. We'll probably do some trimming on the back side of that once we get this floor pan put in. Went through with the wire brush, cleaned it all up, got some rust converter on it, and rust converter just turns that oxide into a paintable surface. That's all it's about, just something to protect it and so forth. I did the back of the patch that's going in there as well, so we'll go over and drill our plug weld holes. All set to weld it in. We'll go ahead and get it tacked in a couple of spots, and then we'll go from there. It's pretty square. Look through the camera and see if the lines line up pretty good. I think yep, they do for the most part. I'll probably tweak that just a little bit, but again, ish, at 80 miles an hour, if you have vision impairment, it's going to look factory. Tacked in a few places. We'll go around and continue tacking that in some more, obviously. But I want to do a little kind of hammer peening and so forth also, but it's coming in there all right. I'm not complaining about that at all. I think it's going to be pretty decent. Looks like it's got to go down back there just a little bit. It's a little bit high here compared to here, so I measured this as 2 inches. I did tack it in a couple places up here because I knew I needed to really reef on it over there. So I got it tacked just a couple spots into the subframe. So we'll go push that back down and get that at the proper height also. Couple tacks in there now. That'll hold it good so I can start taking a hammer and dollying that into place a little bit better so I don't have to push it quite as hard to get it pulled in to where it belongs. Yeah, it's coming along quickly and nicely. So lather, rinse, repeat. Let's move. Tacked in all the way around, looking good. I'll have to do a little dolly work from the other side once I get a little further along, but I think now that it's tacked, I want to go through and get the plug welds done. So I need to clean the holes up and get those done. Plugged in. I got to finish the plugs back there, but I had to give my knees a break. Spent so much time praying this would turn out right. No, I was kneeling to weld. So yeah, it's coming along, and I want to stitch weld that corner right there. But it's yeah, it's coming along all right. I may put another couple of little stitches along the edge, but it's good and strong right now for sure. And of course, we're going to go over this with the Pour 15 patch. So yeah, I didn't check my my alignment's good, real good on those. To the eye, it actually looks better than it does to the camera. I don't know why the camera does that. It's got something to do with probably because I'm on wide angle lens. It's just distorting, but it's close enough. I mean, good grief, who cares? Wanted to do a bottom check. Looks good. Looks real good. It's gonna blend in nicely, and then we'll probably put some welds around there as well. And then hit that with, of course, the Pour 15 patch like we did up here. And even though that was cut and butt, I still did that for any porosity in the welds. We're getting there. All plug welded, edge welded where I wanted. I went through and put a bunch more tacks on the edge. I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. And yeah, it's good. We'll just touch that up a little bit after we do the bottom, and then we'll be ready to put our Pour 15 on there. And yeah, it's looking great. I'm not disappointed with that at all. Ready to go through and just take my hammer and touch that up a little bit and do a little tack welding down here. Then we can get our Pour 15 on both sides. Where'd I put my hammer? There it was in there. tack it along that edge because I've got to weld that on there anyway. But I went ahead and tacked it all around, so I'm just going to take a grinder real quick, touch that up, and then we'll be ready to spread our pour 15 patch on this side, and we'll get it. I need to grind it on the other side before I put the pour 15 on, otherwise we'll have issues, and I don't have any tissues. So let's get that done real quick. But that's nice and strong now. I mean, super strong. So I'm really happy with the way that turned out. This isn't attached in here yet, but that's going to be the same way once we go along. So this one I'll weld from this side when I get to it, and then I'll weld. Actually, this one's already been done on the other side, so I'll seam seal that one. But because I built an L flange on that one with those fabricated floor pans, but I'll weld this side with the car rolled the other way is what I was getting at. So yeah, I changed my design a little bit, obviously, as we went along. That's just the nature of the beast, as you figure out better ways to do things. So we're coming along nicely. I'm pleased with the way this is looking. For those that haven't been on the channel before, the fabricated parts on this car are this bottom gas tank strap, this entire frame rail here. We did the front piece of that frame rail. There's about a 1 foot chunk in there we left, and we fabricated the back. We did the inner trunk extension. We fabricated pretty much all of the floor pans in the front. We fabricated, of course, the subframe connectors. The piece of floor here is a takeout out of another E-body, as we've mentioned, or a B-body, and that's fabricated by hand as well. And there's other stuff we fabricated, but since I had it spun up, and if you haven't seen the channel before, this is what we do here. We also fabricated a bunch of patches on the inner wheel well over there. So this is what we do here. High spots are knocked down, both bottom and top. We're ready to go ahead and put our patch on there, so that's a good thing. Ready to rock and roll for sure. Here we go again. Doesn't take a lot. I was glad to discover last time we used this, which was in our last episode, that all you got to do is take this brush and some lacquer thinner, and that'll clean it right up. I've been throwing brushes away because I didn't think anything was going to touch this stuff, and I thought, well, what do I have to lose? So I tried it, and I'll be dipped if it doesn't clean up nice with lacquer thinner, and I'm going to save myself, you know, at least $5 in paintbrushes by the time I'm done. Got a few little spots there I'm going to go ahead and touch. I don't think I'm going to do this edge yet because we're going to be welding here, and there's no point in burning this stuff off. The goal for this, of course, is not so much about the looks, although obviously I like the look of it. The goal is to just touch up any porosity that might be in the welds, and the stuff dries hard as steel. So that's cool. All right, let's get the bottom done. Like downtown, it's just not as crowded. Let that dry, and we'll come back and check everything over, but I think it looks great. It's good progress for sure. We are so close to being done with the interior of this car as far as its floor pans are concerned. There's obviously, we have to deal with the back cross braces and the tub on this. Well, this tub on this side was already done. We also need to make a plan for restoring the factory botanical garden, that rare factory option. I know a lot of you have been looking forward to that. Just looked at the clock. We've got a little over 2 hours into this. So case in point as to what I said in the last episode and what I said earlier, cutting butt's great. If this was a high dollar car, I would be doing it. If I couldn't buy the parts, I would be cutting butting in stuff. For what this is, Imagine every project I do. Now, I know we had to make a patch on the last episode, so say it was 5 hours to do the cut and butt on that, and we did an hour for the patch. 2 hours versus 5 hours, so that's a ratio of about little to a 4, 3, not between 25 and 50%. So 40, 35%, 40%, 40%. So it takes us about 60% longer to do cut and butt. That's why I don't do it. Again, I'm not against it. I want to make that very clear. I think it's a great technique. I do use it, obviously, but for this floor pan, for what it is, for what it looks like, little lap welding and some plug welds go a long way, in my opinion, especially when we're spending so much time fabricating everything like this. So, all right, we're going to let that dry, and we'll be right back
After a brief sponsor from our messages.
Next step now is we need to finish this cross member piece here, getting that tied in with the subframe connector and get this floor pan in, and then of course we've got this floor pan to get in here and that one there, but all of that will go relatively quickly as we move forward on the project. One more step forward on stitches. It's really starting to come together. I'm really pleased with the way it's happening, and I just can't emphasize enough that when you're going to hand fabricate everything, it's going to take a while. It's going to take time. That's just the way it is, but the cost savings is incredible, as we have seen on a recent video where I talked about we've saved over $11,000 by not buying all the parts and by making all of this ourselves. Now, obviously, we've got more time invested in it than if we just bought parts and threw in, and that's fine. I chose to do it that way because I feel that the $11,000 savings is well worth it. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. It's probably a Talk About It Tuesday sometime around a week or two maybe before this came out, if you haven't seen it. So, well, I appreciate you being here. We're over on the Face thing, and Instagrammer loves us, and she does snickerdoodles and chocolate chips and stuff like that. There's cookies, is what I'm saying. / My Car Shop. We're here on YouTube, of course, so like, subscribe, and share. We would appreciate it. And one more thing, it's important, and you don't want to forget.
Rock!